didn't want to live that way anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. So I chose a better way to live. But, I had to go through therapy. I had to go
Right.
heal the little Isabelle that was 5 that just lost her mother. And I had to
Right.
allow that sadness to live in order to get to a place where no life, yes,
Right.
trauma is going to happen. We
Yes.
all have, like, everybody's got a story that can break your heart, right?
Sure. Sure.
So, but you have to go through all of that in order to get to a better place.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where we inspire and empower you to live your best audacious life ever. I'm totally thrilled to be here with you and our listeners. I say thank you for taking the time out of your day. I really, truly appreciate you for joining us on this inspiring journey. And on this journey that we're on, there will be times of turbulence and rocky roads. There's no question about that. But we still must push ahead regardless. It's no different than the uphill journey salmon who are swimming upstream encounter. But it's necessary and it's absolutely incumbent on us to keep pushing forward out of our comfort zones to reach those new heights. We're going to challenge ourselves to leap into the unknown, but we must embrace audacity to break free from limitations and rise to our fullest potential. Today we have a guest who embodies the essence of audacious living. Isabelle Fortin is a coach to others, and she was formerly a massage therapist, but she shares her journey of perseverance and transformation, which serves as a beacon of inspiration for all of us seeking to discover our true purpose and to live authentically. Good day, Isabelle. How are you? This is awesome.
Fabulous. I'm fabulous. Finally, we get to meet.
I know.
We
Yeah,
had
it
to
was a lot of
postpone
back
this
and
thing a few times.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had to. It was a little bit of, I think it was a little bit of me and a lot going on, but that's life. I'm
Yeah,
glad that you're here on the Audacious Living Podcast and you're here now. That's all that matters.
that's right. I'm so happy to be here. I was looking forward to this. I like the audacious, I like that word and I like what it
Yes.
stands for. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this.
Much appreciated. And listen, I'm a big fan of as well, obviously, if I haven't given that away, but certainly, when we spend so much time on this podcast, encouraging individuals to live that best audacious life and to go after the dreams and forget the limitations and all the things that go on in our heads that might hold us back. And I think that's something that would resonate with you as a coach who focuses a lot on mindset and helps people to recognize those same sorts of things in terms of, getting to that better place. And so maybe as a starting point, you can fill our audience in on a little bit of your work and what you do and how you got to the place that you're at now.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of questions. Okay, so I'm a mindset coach. I'm a public speaker. I'm a motivational speaker. That's what I love to do, and it keeps me motivated as well. And I've been doing that since 2009. So going
Wow.
on 15 years. That's, oh my
Congrats.
God, time
Congrats.
flies, man, when you're having fun.
Yes.
And well, I got to start that career because I am also a massage therapist, and
Yep.
I have been a massage therapist for 20 some odd years. I can't remember anymore, but close to 25. And in 2008, one of my very regular clients at the end of an appointment while she was taking her next appointment, and she looked at me and she said, Isabelle, I love your massages, but that's actually not why I come to see you. I come to see you because every time I leave your office, I always have a different perspective
Oh,
on what I'm living, what I'm going through in my life. So you're like my life coach. And oddly, I have to tell you, there's nothing I hate more than that term. Now, I'm not saying that life coaches don't do a good job. It's not
right.
about the profession. I just don't like the term. I
Okay.
wish we found a better title for it.
Okay.
So she kind of woke something up in me, and I thought, well, I always had kind of odd way or different way or audacious way to looking at life. So I went to school. I went to study neuro linguistic programming and
Yeah.
emotional freedom tapping and holistic kinesiology, and I became a mindset coach. And here I am today with you.
That's amazing, and it's interesting. Like I mean, I think your client, you go to get a massage, you come back with so much more. Like what was happening in sessions? Were you just sort of naturally just talking, you're exchanging
Yeah,
ideas, and
yeah. I
wow,
I'm not a lavender candles, little music kind of a massage therapist. I'm elbow deep in your muscles, and I'm
right,
really therapeutic massages. So it left a lot. It still leaves a lot of room for discussions and feedback and stuff like that. And I've been like that pretty much all my life, where
okay,
everywhere I go, oh, excuse me, everywhere I go, people tend to confine things in me. And so massages was a great way to actually get in touch with clients and
right.
what they were going through and how their life is going. So yeah, that's pretty much why she felt at ease to just
Got
confine
you.
things in me. Yeah.
Understood. No, it totally makes sense. Were there any sort of personal challenges that you had to overcome to help you on this path that you're on?
Oh my goodness. So many. So many, so many. Um, well, there's two things. The
Okay.
first one is the biggest trauma of my life happened when I was 5. My mom passed away and she was only 36. And I gotta tell you, that changes your perspective
Yeah.
on how long you're going to be on this planet
Right.
for,
Right.
and just how quickly that can go away, right? So it gave me, as a youngster, it gave me two things. A really big, 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 huge sense of urgency in living my life now.
Mm,
And it also obviously made me a very sad kid. Like, I mean, how do you explain a 5-year-old? Well, how do you
right.
explain
Right.
death to a 5-year-old, right? So it made me a sad kid. I became a very, very angry teenager because
Mm,
anger is so much easier to deal with for me than
right.
sadness is,
Right.
because there's a lot of control in anger. There's a lot of power in anger that there isn't in sadness. Sadness is just despair. And since I had, if you combine the two, since I had this, this drive and the thriving to live, well, I was as intense in my emotions. And angry teenager became a really, really, really bitter adult. So I had to actually hit rock bottom and look at
Right.
myself in the mirror at age 37 once I had outlived my mother, which is crazy to me
Right.
now. It's like me dying 15 years ago. And I had to look at myself and say, okay, this is not life. It's not supposed to be this hard. It's not supposed to be something you just suffer through until you die. And if it is that, then for crying out loud, I'm just going to kill myself today, because I didn't want to live that way anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. So I chose a better way to live. But, I had to go through therapy. I had to go
Right.
heal the little Isabelle that was 5 that just lost her mother. And I had to
Right.
allow that sadness to live in order to get to a place where no life, yes,
Right.
trauma is going to happen. We
Yes.
all have, like, everybody's got a story that can break your heart, right?
Sure. Sure.
So, but you have to go through all of that in order to get to a better place. But unfortunately and fortunately, I think it's a little bit of both. It's a choice.
Yes.
You have to at one point say, okay, this, I've had it with this crap, and I'm going to choose something else for myself. And the thing with rock bottom is that finally there's a place for both your feet to get grounded and
Mm.
push yourself back up. And yeah, that's a long answer for a short question.
Well, no, and thank you for that. I love the imagery of the rock bottom at the very end there, in terms of, where we need to find our footing for a foundation and use that as a launch pad forward. I mean, oftentimes, for so many individuals, there's things that are holding them back, things that are impacting them in their way. They don't even recognize and don't even see it. And you literally do have to kind of go back to ground zero almost, and
That's
and move
exactly
forward,
right.
right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
but when you do that and go through that process, like the landscape changes, like, the heavens open up and the clouds, and you see things that you never saw before. But the reality is that they were always there. You just had this blockage in front of you.
Yeah, that's it. And it's always a matter of choosing. That's the thing. And that's where humans, that's how we differ from animals, is the power of choice.
Yes.
And but it's so easy to forget that we get to choose. You
Yes.
get to choose how you look at your life. You get to choose how you draw from your mistakes. And I hate that word because I don't believe we make mistakes. When you
Right.
take a decision, I mean, you're not dumb. Nobody's that stupid. When you take a decision, you make the best possible decision with who you are at the time and what you know about the
Yeah.
situation. So you cannot make a bad decision. You did what was right for you at the time.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
very easy to look back and see things clearly.
Oh,
But you have
sure.
to remember that when you're in it, you didn't have, like, in hindsight is 2020,
Of
right?
course. Of course.
It's
Of
easy
course.
to look back and say, oh, I should have done that. Well, you know
Sure.
what? No, you shouldn't have, because you didn't know yet.
Well, that's
So,
right, and sorry to cut you, but
no, it's okay.
that part about didn't know is so important. I mean, we have to remember, life is a continuum. It continues on every day, and each day you go on, you pick up an insight, you learn something, a piece of knowledge comes your way, a new perspective is opened up, and then all of a sudden you apply these new learnings to those past situations. You're like, oh, I could have done it, but in the moment,
You
I think
didn't
you said it
know.
beautifully, is that we make the best decisions with what we have in that exact moment.
Yeah. What we have, the knowledge that we have, but who we are at that moment. I
Yeah.
think it's Maya Angelou that said, you did your best until you knew better, and then you did better.
Right.
But the key for me, the key word is until you knew better.
That's right.
You can't punish yourself for not knowing stuff before you actually learn them,
That's
right?
exactly it.
So
That's exactly
yeah,
it. It's yeah, and I think what happens is we individuals kind of get caught up in, the choice I should have made and why didn't I. Well, sure, yeah, you've got all this time to think it through. You have all this time, and let's not forget the fact that, what was your emotional state at that time, because emotions can affect our decisions as well, right?
God
So
damn it, hallelujah.
yeah, so there's all these factors, and that's why I often talk about the importance of giving ourselves grace for all
Yes.
of these reasons. We
Yeah.
can't beat ourselves up because of what we didn't do, because of what we didn't have, because of what we didn't know at that time. And so give ourselves grace. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, we have to remember that we're just humans.
Yeah.
That's it. You get up in the morning, you do the best that you can that day. And if the best that you can is sitting on your couch with your loved ones or your pet, watching Netflix and eating potato chips, well, that's the best for today, then that's the best for today.
That's
You
right.
just you just need to find the balance between giving in and giving up, because
Got you.
there's a big difference between the two.
Got you. Got you. Let's slide the conversation over into purpose, and how significant that is for each of us. And in fact, I think it's a nice segue, because when we talk about, hitting rock bottom, and we've got that new footing and we can spring forward. I think we have the opportunity to spring forward into our purpose. And I want to be very clear, because some people talk about finding or purpose, and I really believe that it's nothing to find. It was always there. We had to maybe find ourselves, and maybe I'll say that, but the purpose was always there, right? Like if we're
Amen,
being true to our authentic
brother.
selves.
Yes. Amen, brother. See, I knew I was going to love you. And now I have the proof why. Amen.
Appreciate it.
It's been there all along.
Yes.
It's not about finding it. It's about cutting through the clutter.
Yes.
And it's about giving ourselves permission to actually do it and
Yes.
access it.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, take kids, right? Excuse me. Take kids like before age 7. Go in any classroom, any, daycare center
Yep.
before age 7, and ask them, like a bunch of 5-year-old boys, let's say boys, and ask them who's the strongest in the room. Everybody raises their hands.
Yes.
Who's the funniest? Everybody raises their hands.
Yes.
Because they know who they are at that age, which is
Absolutely.
really strange because we forget. And then 2
True.
years later, only at 7, 2 years later, you go in the same classroom with the same boys, and you ask them, okay, so who's the strongest? They'll all point to one guy. Well, he's the strongest. Well, he's the bully. He's the funny guy. He's good in sports.
True. It's true.
And we forget. We forget it's kind of designed that way. I don't understand why yet. And this might be for the next life, but we forget. We know who we are.
Yes.
And we just have to cut through that crap and get back to that. And for me, the best way is joy. If I do something and it makes my soul sing, it brings me joy, I get this little vibration, and then I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm connected to my essence, to my purpose, it's not always fun, but it doesn't sound the same. There's music. When you're on your purpose, there's music.
Yes.
That there isn't when you're, doing the daily grind, and perhaps selling your soul for a paycheck. Not all employees do. I'm not saying that.
No, but I understand your point.
Some people, that's their purpose.
No,
and that's fine.
No, and I do think you raise a valid point, and you're absolutely correct. It is fine. It's still something worth identifying as a reason, and we're not judging people for what they do and why they choose to do what they do. As long as because then if you know that's what it is, then that's your purpose. Look, I'm just here to get a paycheck. Great, and maybe if you expand on that, I'm here to get a paycheck because there's other things I want to do outside of here that makes me fulfilled and happy. Great, no problem, right? And so we go with that.
Exactly.
But even in that example, at least the individual knows what it is, and that's and I think and through all what we're talking about thus far, knowing what your purpose is probably the most important, liberating, fulfilling things that you can do for yourself.
Yeah, my dad did that. My dad was in the military before I was born. And when he got out of the military, so was my mother. When they got out of the military, my dad became a high school English teacher. And was he passionate about teaching? No, but he was good at it.
Right.
But what he was passionate about was the 10 weeks off he got to spend with his kids.
That's amazing.
Every summer.
That's amazing.
10 weeks.
Awesome.
Everybody in the house was off for the entire summer, every year. And, we went camping, and we visited our country, and we had time to be together and love one another and support one another. And for my dad, that was his purpose.
Beautiful.
So his paycheck was a paycheck, but it gave him the freedom he was looking for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're totally right. Sometimes having a paycheck is to support the purpose, and that's
That's right.
great.
That's right. And again, as long as you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you have that happiness and joy as a result of it, then fine, right? But
Exactly.
it's when you don't know, right? And that's why I think the conversation of purpose is an important one. So then, perhaps, Isabel, if we could talk about then what the process looks like to find your purpose.
Oh man. Well, again, for me, it is joy. It's and it's approaching what I tell my clients is approach it like when you were a child. So one of the things that I tell people is when they're closed off, and it's easy to see when people are closed off, is oh, I let's say I don't like bowling.
Okay.
Well, do you not like bowling, or you've never done it and you're judging it, and so you don't know if you like bowling or not,
Right.
right? So it's the same thing for everything. So you have to be willing to kind of take a step back. That taking a step back is not going backwards. It's just giving yourself distance.
Right.
Taking a step back, and if you think, or if you know that you've always wanted to try horseback riding, name it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Bowling even, then go try it and explore
Right.
and be a teenager again, because that's what we do when we're teenagers, right?
Right.
We
Right.
try. I was extremely lucky to have the dad that I have, because my dad was like that. Oh, dad, I want to, be part of a band. Okay, good,
Knock
go.
yourself out. I
All
love
right,
it.
go ahead. 3, 4, 5 weeks later, you know what, dad, I really don't like the band. I want to join the cadets. Okay. He never forced upon me, no, 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 you have to finish what you started. No, if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yep.
Now, if it's not for you just simply because you're not good at it yet, that's another story.
Sure. Sure.
But if it's you go to band practice and you're like, oh my god, this is boring. Well, it's just not for you. Then
Right.
stop, move on, try something else, but go explore. And everything, like especially as adult, we know, you said it beautifully earlier. It's not about finding, it's a discovery or
Mm,
rediscovery of what makes your soul sing. You know,
yes.
we every single adult that I speak to, regardless if they're my clients or not,
Yep.
always have something they've always wanted to try and never
Yep.
dared.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
start with that
Yeah. I mean,
and see where that leads.
listen, I'm such a big fan of taking that chance and being audacious and taking those risks, because you never know, and if you think about it, if you try something and it doesn't work out, what's the worst that's happened?
Hey,
You,
you
you
got an answer.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you got an answer, you gain a new experience, and if you tried it and it didn't work out, you also gained a new lesson, right?
Yeah.
And that very very same lesson, you can use it for yourself down the road or give it to someone else. And so, it's why not, right? Why not give it a shot and see what happens?
Yeah. I agree
So
with you.
I love the fact that was your father's philosophy, because it's very much his mind too. Just go and see where it takes you.
Oh, he was so patient, Audley, I tell you, he was so patient. I think that one year I tried like 5 or 6 like completely different activities in my
Right.
school year.
Yep.
And he said yeah, and every time there was cost,
Yep.
financial cost for him.
Sure.
And he never made me feel like I had wasted his time or his money. He never made me feel like I was a quitter because I was stopping something. But once
Mm,
I found the things that I loved,
yes.
yeah, I mean, I did go from the band to the Air Cadets, and I spent 5 years in the cadets. And when I was too old and I had to leave, I joined the military. So it wasn't, but I had to try different things before,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
and I did. So yeah, I was very lucky. My dad is very open.
That's amazing. When I think back to the things I've tried or experiences I've exposed myself to, you know, more often than not, whether that thing that I tried, it either led me somewhere or it opened up a new path I never saw. Or better yet, it enabled me to be able to say, "Hey, I did this," and it's there is so much value, and I think there's I'm trying to remember the expression. Life when you live life forward, it's an art. When you look back, it's a science, right? So when you look back at all the things that you've done, everything is connected. The dots have
Yeah.
all made sense. It's like I
Yes.
had to do this to do this to do this to do that. But in the moment, right? We talked earlier about doing the best what you have in the moment. You're like, I don't know, let's give it a shot and see, right? And so
Yeah.
that has always stayed with me because it's so powerful.
Yeah, and it's always fascinating to me how just everything is interconnected. I mean, when
Yes.
I started, um, sorry, the dog is making noises.
All right.
Um, when I started being a public speaker, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I had learned how to speak in public when I was 12 years old in the Air Cadets in
Right.
Victoriaville, Quebec. That's where I learned the skills to actually speak in public. But when I
Mm-hmm.
did that at 12, I didn't know where it was going to lead. It was part of the 3-week course, summer course or summer camp actually that I was on. So I just did it and never thought that it'd be helpful in the future.
Yeah.
And now that's how I make a living.
It's amazing. And I love the fact that you just never know, right? If you were to tell your younger self this is what I would be doing, what would your younger self have said? I'm curious.
But we get so set in
Mm,
thinking that we know who we are, and
yes.
that is extremely um secure, and it makes us feel secure, like
Yes.
we're nothing can happen. I
Yes.
have a beautiful story I want to share on that.
Please do.
My maternal grandmother was 75 years old. I was in my early 20s, and with the background that I had, all I wanted to do was to know who I was. When I was in my 20s, that's all I wanted to do because I thought I was, man, was I wrong? But I thought that once you got to be an adult, you knew who you were, and that was very important
Yeah.
because that you were set, right? I remember going to my grandmother's house. I was picking her up and I was bringing her to a party. And when
Okay.
I walked into her house, she was sitting in her rocking chair, which was not unusual. But what was extremely unusual is that she was reading a book. And my grandmother was born in 1926.
Okay.
So she had a grade 2 uh, I'm losing my English
Education.
right now, but education. Thank you. She had a grade 2 education. So reading was not something she used to do, right?
Right.
Because she like barely knew how.
Right.
So I walked in, gave her the 2 kisses and whatever, and she looked at me. She says, "Isabelle, do you mind waiting for about 2 minutes? I just really, really want to finish my chapter, and then we could go." I was bringing her to my aunt's house. I said, "No, of course, no problem." So I sat and I waited. And when she was finished reading her chapter, Audley, I swear, she closed her book. She put it on her heart. She closed her eyes. She took a deep breath, and she said, "Oh, Isabelle, I didn't know I liked reading."
Mm-hmm.
She was 75 years old.
Hmm.
Now, at the time in my early 20s, for me, that was extremely discouraging because all I wanted to do was to know myself.
Yes.
Now, in my 50s, I go, wow, I'm still discovering things about myself. I'm still learning things about myself. I'm still discovering new passions and new things that I'm going to be passionate about. How freaking beautiful is that?
Lovely. It's wonderful. It really is, because that just shows you that life just is a continuum. And like I said earlier, it just goes and goes. And, we're along for the ride. So it's, incumbent on us to gain all the experiences and take the insights and the lessons and sort of put them in our bag and move forward. Right. And so that's the image that comes to mind as you recount that story. And it also shows that life is there's an aspect of continuous learning, right, when it comes to life, and when you could be open to learning, and not as opposed to I've learned it all, I don't need to know anything else. You can always learn more.
And I think that that's one of the things that we should thrive for.
Mm-hmm.
Discovering new things about yourself and discovering new things about life, new things about your partner, and new things about your kids, even if
Sure.
they're grown adults, and not allowing yourself to be set in what you think you know about
Yeah.
yourself because you're
Yeah.
not done discovering it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's why
wonder
I
if
love that story.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. I really
No
appreciate
problem.
that. um uh you also talk about the importance of perseverance and sort of being determined and not quitting. Why is that important to us?
Hmm. Well, I think because every overnight success is 10 years in the making, because you have to give yourself time to learn to you have to be patient with yourself. You spoke about giving yourself grace. That's part of it. You have to
Yes.
be patient. I mean, if it's not for you, if you know from the get-go that it's not for you, then okay, just stop. That's okay. But if you're quitting out of fear, well, that's where the danger lies, I think.
Right.
You have to be honest with yourself as to why you're stopping whatever. If it is just because it doesn't resonate with you, then okay, that's I'm all for it. But if you seek something greater, then you have to keep going.
Right.
And I find that when people aren't good at something, they
Hmm.
forget who they are. And I always say that to my clients. When the salmon is swimming upstream,
Yep.
and it's jumping up and jumping and jumping because they work hard to get up, right?
Yep.
Well, when they jump out of the water just to get a little bit of the leadway,
Yep.
when they're out of the water, they never doubt that there's salmons.
No.
It's the same thing for us, but we doubt. If we're not good at something, if we're beginning at something, and we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, because that's what the salmon is doing. It's
Sure.
jumping out of its comfort zone to get a leeway, right? So
Right.
when we jump out of our comfort zone, we begin to doubt who we are. But why? You're still you. It's
Right.
you're just outside your comfort zone. You have to be willing to just maybe be a better version of you.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the image of the salmon. I mean, the idea of being out of that zone of comfort where it's relaxed and safe and warm, and we know it well, and to go in a different area and do something different. I think it's important to understand as though that new area, that new space, those new experiences, they don't define us, right?
No,
That's not how we're defined.
no,
We're defined by the person that gets through those experiences. That's what defines us, and that's how you can use them. And I think if we approach those situations differently and view them differently and treat them differently, then our overall thinking, like, and how we, again, this example of I got to change because the circumstance, that goes away
yeah,
because we know who we are.
yeah. And it's never what happens to us. It's always how we look at it.
Yeah.
I the years and years and years and years when I was bitter, my claim to fame was, oh yeah, but if mom was alive, I'd have a better relationship with dad, or if mom was
Right.
alive, I'd have this, or I'd be this, or I'd have kids, or I'd
Right.
all the hypothetical, all
Yep.
of
Yep.
them. And one of the first things that I had to cure myself of was exactly that. Because
Mm.
the truth, the bottom line, the fact, if you really want to look at facts,
Mhm.
is I do not know. I don't know what my life would have been had my mom lived. I
Right.
don't know. And I can hold my breath and pretend that it'd be better until I'm blue in the face.
That's right.
The reality is, I do not know.
That's right.
And we're not comfortable with not knowing.
That's right.
So we pretend that we know. And when we are trapped in a victim mindset, which I was for over 3 decades, when we're
Right.
trapped in that, that becomes our identity. Knowing, which is false, that it would be better because it's the perfect excuse.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm not happy with that. But if mom was alive, I would be. Well, you don't know,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
it's it's easy.
Yep.
It's not easy to get out, but it's
Uh,
worth it.
No, it absolutely is. When you get to the other side, that's where all the greatness lies. It's just a matter of pushing through that, and being as determined as we possibly can be. And
Yeah.
so, that's so important. You're a little bit of an author, I understand, Isabelle.
I'm in the middle of writing my first book. I'm going towards the end now. It's close, very, very close to
Okay. Okay.
publishing. So
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Well,
really happy about that. And
it,
it's the name of the book is Mind Your Own Happiness, and I'm going to tell you why,
ah,
because I find it very funny. Uh, Actually, it speaks about who I am. My favorite thing to say to people is mind your own business.
okay.
Yeah, because I find that that's one of the things that screws us up,
Yes, it does.
is allowing other people to have an opinion on our lives. That's
Mm,
okay. They're going to have one. Just know it's not about you. It's about
that's
them
right.
and
That's
how it
right.
makes them feel.
That's right.
That's one. And
It may not even be
two,
accurate.
no, it really is. It really is.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's also a great way to stay stuck,
Mm,
is to take everybody else's opinions, because there are as many opinions of who you are as there are humans that you know, right?
that's right.
So it goes, for me, that expression goes both ways. Don't allow people to mind your business. So live your life, live it the
Yep.
way you feel it's right for you, but don't mind other people's business either. So don't give all of your opinions of all subject at all
Right.
time,
Right.
because that's ego driven.
Yes.
So I didn't want to call it mind your own business, just because it's too like business
Just
oriented
that.
kind
I
of.
get you. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I decided to call it mind your own happiness,
That's it. I
because
love it.
it's an inside job.
It absolutely is 100%. I absolutely love that. It's fantastic. We'll have to when it's all said and done, we'll have to chat about the book, and I'd
I'll
love
send you
to
one.
yeah, I'd appreciate that. I'd love to get more insights on that. I mean, this is awesome, and Isabel, like I said, I think the work you do is incredible.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate the time we had today. I think we had a really fulsome conversation on purpose, and we talked about authentic self and change, and all the great things that come with the good things that happen to us in life as we persevere and push ahead. Um, I guess it makes sense as we round out the conversation, if we end on the topic of gratitude and why that's so important
Mm.
to us. I really feel that if we can, and I've always believed that, and I've actually seen examples in my own life where I'm consciously and purposely showing gratitude for the things I find that these wonderful things come my way as a result. And so I think it's a beautiful way to live.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I've been practicing. I've been writing in a gratitude journal every morning. That's the first thing that I do for years and years. I can't count that far. Um, and you know what? I even am grateful for things in advance now.
Mm,
Yeah, I'll thank the universe, the Lord, whatever. It's all the same energy. I'll be grateful for things I don't have yet. It works. It works every single time.
yeah,
And the mornings that, for some reason I had to go walk the dog or something happened and I forgot to write in my journal, the entire day I feel it. I feel there's something lacking. And that's because I didn't write my gratitude. And
got you.
here's the thing with gratitude. You can't write the things that you're grateful for like you're writing a grocery list.
Right.
You have to connect to the feeling of gratitude and
Hmm.
feel how it is, why you are grateful for that thing.
Right.
Because when you write why, even if you don't write it down and you just say it out loud, but when you connect to the why you're
Yes.
grateful,
Yes.
that's how it resonates to the universe, and that's how you
Hmm.
get more.
Hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I love the fact that when you maintain that the gratuitous spirit, if you will, your outlook on life just changes. You see things differently. You appreciate more. You're happier more. You're able to see the greatness in others. More of that. Like there's just so much that comes with that
Yeah.
by making that one, and I will call it one simple shift in your mind. That's really what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So.
But it starts with one.
Hmm.
It starts with one.
Yeah.
You know, you know the saying, how do you eat an elephant? Yeah, one
Well,
spoon at the time.
that's
How do
it.
you
That's
climb
it.
Everest? One thing. It's one
Yes.
step
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
starts with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Isabel, this has been such a delightful chat. I do appreciate you taking the time with me. I had a lot of fun.
Same
For
here.
listeners that wanted to learn more about you or catch up with your work, where could we send them?
Two ways. There you can get a conversation with me one-on-one. It's izzyfortin.com/let's talk. And I also, have a 21-day program that's called Mind Your Own Happiness. So it's izzyfortin.com/mind your happiness.
Okay.
And it's 21 days of work. It's real work. So you get a video, you get a homework, and you get to show up and learn things about you, about life, about all the tools. And it's a really, really, really packed program. Honestly, I could have taken the
Love it.
first 7 days and made 21 days with that. But
Wow.
21 days of real, real, real work so
Yep.
you can get unstuck and you can get in a better place. And gratitude is obviously part of that.
Nice. Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's awesome. We certainly will make sure that we include all those details in the show notes so fans
Thank
can
you.
can follow up with you. Again, Izzy, this has been a great, great, great time. Thank you so much. Had lots of fun.
Same
Take care
here.
of yourself. All the best. One key takeaway from our conversation with Isabelle is the power of perseverance and self-discovery. Just like that salmon we talked about earlier, that we must remain steadfast in our pursuit of growth and fulfillment, never allowing setbacks to deter us from our path. By embracing gratitude and connecting to the why behind our actions, we can unlock the doors to a life of abundance and joy. Thank you for tuning in to the Audacious Living Podcast. Remember, audacity isn't about the destination solely. It's about the journey of self-discovery and growth. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.